In this video, we're going to create this tape holder. It holds masking tape, the blue masking tape, on a spool and allows you to run it off. I'll show you a picture of that in just a moment. I'm going to show you how to go through FreeCAD and actually make the piece as it stands. I'm not going to make all of the pieces, but I will show you the assembly at the end. So if you want to see what it looks like, you can wait till the end and you'll see that. Here's a picture of what the finished version looks like. You can see it's very simple. To start with, we're going to go in the part design workbench, which is where I do most of my work. And then we're just going to create a new job, a new part. I'm going to give it just a name. And basically all I'm doing is running my macro that creates a new piece, and it creates a new part, new body, and pops a sketch in. So I'm just doing that with the macro that I showed you before. In case you want to see it, here's the macro. I call it startup macro, and I'll put a link in below where you can get that if you want to have a copy. So that's basically the macro right there, and it just starts off my files for me. Okay, so we don't need that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to edit this sketch. We are going to create a revolve for the first part of the tape holder, and in doing so we have some dimensions that are very important to us. So what I want to do before I create that revolve is I'm going to go into the spreadsheet and I'm going to create a new spreadsheet. So let me just close that sketch. We're going to create a new spreadsheet, and we're going to call each of our parameters something that we are interested in. We can rename this spreadsheet. So I'm going to rename it. I'm going to call it tape holder data. That's the name of my spreadsheet. And the first thing I want is the inside diameter. Actually, we're going to call that, everything tape something, tape inside diameter. Then I want to have the tape inside radius. And then I'm going to have, and what else do I need? I need the tape thickness, which is going to be the width of the tape, and then the tape height is going to be how much tape is on a roll. The wall thickness of the part, we're going to try and keep that the same all the way through. And then we're going to have the pivot hole diameter. Okay, so from measuring is 77 millimeters. And we know that this guy is going to be equal to B1, which is that amount, divided by 2. So obviously the radius is half the diameter. The tape thickness is 25 millimeters. The tape height is 20 millimeters. The wall thickness that we want is 4 millimeters, and the whole diameter is going to be 10 millimeters. So now to make all of these, we want them to be aliases so that we can call them up. I have a little macro. Again, this one's available to download, and this one is called easy alias. We're going to execute that guy. And all it does, it makes these an alias with the same name as my label here. Okay, so with that being done, I'm going to save that. And we're going to go back to our sketch, back in part design. We'll edit our sketch. And now we know roughly the shape that we want to be in. So I'm just going to rough out the shape using this guy. So I'm creating a polyline. I'm not creating a B-spline, so I'm creating a polyline. They look very similar, so just be careful. So the polyline, I'm going to start right there at the origin. I know it comes out this way, goes up here, pops out there, it's a little land there, an angle there, a little flat, drops down here, comes over here, comes back to that origin. So clearly I'm just guessing at the sizes right now because we're going to dimension it all. So that'll be the next thing we do. Okay, so once we have this shape, then we're going to start to dimension it. And first things first, what I normally do is I try to make sure the geometry is constrained based on geometric things. So I can see this one should be a vertical, this one should be a horizontal. So I like to make sure all of those are done correctly first, and that way we're not constraining with dimensions where we should be constraining with geometry. Okay, so the first thing is our tape fits across from here to here, and so that should be the inside dimension of the tape. This one should be the inside dimension of the tape minus a wall thickness. So that's what we're going to dimension first. I'm going to dimension this one first because if I dimension this one first and it's smaller than this one, it's going to turn my sketch inside out. I don't want to do that because it's just a pain. All right, so let's go from this point, and we can go to this point and give that dimension. And now remember, we're going to take this from our spreadsheet. So our spreadsheet, which we have, so I'm just going to do that again. We're going to go here, we're going to go here, and we're going to say reference tape holder data. And this one is going to be inside tape inside radius minus tape holder data wall thickness. So okay, and that's the dimension. Now you see, if I'd have made this one to the dimension that we want, it would go inside out with that guy. So we're actually going to do that one next. We'll go here, and this one is going to be our tape holder data tape inside radius dimension. And there we have it. Now this guy here, he should be equal to the tape holder data wall thickness. And then this dimension, I'm going to make this dimension the tape holder data wall thickness. And then I'm going to make this dimension from here to here is going to be equivalent to our tape holder data inside tape inside radius plus tape holder data. Let's move that over so you can see it. Wall thickness. So now that should stick out by 4. And then guess what? We're going to make this guy in the front. Tape holder data. Wall thickness. So you can see I'm using the wall thickness wherever possible. And then we need to make this height, which is one of our important heights. It's going to be this guy. and he's going to be the tape holder data thickness. And then this dimension here is going to be tape holder data plus tape thickness plus 10 plus tape holder data wall thickness. And that gives me that shape that I want. Now looking at it, I'm wondering, is 10 too many? So it makes it, oh, I see why. Because I'm now 4 and 4. So maybe I didn't need the tape. I'm going to take that down by the wall thickness. We don't need that. We're just going to go up 10. There we go, that looks better. And then we're going to close that. Everything's constrained. We'll make it so you can see what we're doing. And we are going to create a revolve. And we'll bring that in the middle. And there is our revolve. Done and dusted. Okay. So now we want to create a second sketch. So the second sketch, we are going to sketch on a plane right there. And we'll say OK. And now we know what we want to do with this plane. So we need, I'm going to do some construction lines here. We need a line that goes from the center straight down. We need a line that goes out roughly here. A line that goes out roughly here. And we're going to make this line, and this line all equal. And then we're going to dimension this angle. And that's going to be 120. And we're going to dimension this angle. And that's also going to be 120. Boom. Now, again, I'm going to go back into my lines and create a polyline, and I know it needs to come out like this, go here, go down here, go here, go up here, go up there. So I'm creating this Y shape. And once again, I'm not worrying about dimensions, I'm just getting a rough shape. Now I'm going to use geometry just to line this thing up. So the first thing is this guy and this guy are going to be parallel. And this guy are going to be parallel. And you guessed it, these are all going to be parallel. So these are parallel. These are parallel. And the last one is parallel. Now I'm going to say this, this, and this. Oh, do that again. Clicked off it. This and this are all going to be equal. And I'm going to say this and this and this are going to be symmetrical. And I'm going to say this, and remember you pick the middle line last. I'll show you that one more time. So first dot, second dot, then the line that you want to be symmetrical around, like that. So those are all symmetrical. Now what we're going to do, just for grins and giggles, is we're going to make this perpendicular. We're going to make this and this perpendicular. And this one is already perpendicular, so we're good there. And now we are going to dimension this line. And we'll make it 58, just for round numbers. And we're going to dimension this guy. And we're going to make him 25. That's the width of our pieces standing up. So that's constrained, but of course we want to leave these pieces and cut out these pieces. So what we need to do is we're going to put a box around that. Oh, one thing I want to show you which is really cool. You see how I twisted it a little bit? If I press this guy here, it pops it all back to square the way it should be. And then for this square, we are just going to take this corner, the center point, and we're going to say that's symmetrical. We're going to take this side and say they're equal. And then we are just going to dimension one side, and it can be whatever it is. It's totally irrelevant as long as it's bigger than that Y shape. So now that's completely constrained. And then I want to create a pocket with it. And I'm going to go all the way through. So now you see I have that piece, but look, I've cut all this away. So you can say OK there. To go back to my sketch. And now I'm going to tell my sketch that its position should be 4.05 away from this plane that it was created on. So in doing so, we should have our base back. Now I made that minus. The other thing to notice is when I change the number, it doesn't change until I come off there. So I have to do a tab onto the next thing, and then it actually makes a change. So you can see that's created exactly what we want. I didn't draw anything on the faces. I did it on the plane, and then I just offset it from the plane. So now we have that piece. So good practice is whenever you do a piece that you like, save that. And now we want a hole in the middle, and we want some slots around here. So let's see if we can do a sketch for that. Let's go to a sketch. We're going to do it in this plane. Say OK. And going to zoom in a little bit. We're going to put our hole in the middle. And remember, we have a dimension for that. So this one is called tape holder data pivot hole diameter. Boom. Except for I dimensioned it as a radius. So there's two ways to fix that. I can just go here and say divide by 2. Or I could have dimensioned it as a radius, which would have been the smart move. Now we want a slot that fits in here. So we're going to do something similar with our construction lines. So we're going to take construction lines. We don't want it to be right in the middle. We want it to probably be over here like that. And over here like that is where we're going to start. And we're going to draw a radius that goes from here to here. And then I'm just going to make this point and this point coincident. I think those two already are. So we should see, yep, they move all together. So now I can dimension this radius, which I think is going to be 28 is where I want it to be. I think that's fine. And now I'm going to dimension these angles. So there's going to be an angle here. And that's going to be 170. And then there's going to be an angle here. And that's going to be 170. So that gives me the outside shape. And now I'm going to go and actually draw something I want to keep. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to draw from there to there. I'm going to do this. I'm going to draw from there to there. And then I'm just going to create a couple of radii from here to here, back over to here. This one's going to go from here to here, back to here. And then I'm going to dimension this radius. I want it to be 5 mil slots. I'm going to do a 2.5 radius. And then the only thing I need to do is to make this and this tangential. And that is all set as well. So now I have my slot and my hole. You can say close. I'm going to go here, create a pocket, say through all, just so it's gone through everything. And there we have it. There's my first pocket. But of course I wanted 3 pockets, so now what we're going to do, zoom in here, we're going to create an array, circular array, pick one face, say OK, tell it we want 3, and the magic happens. Nicely done. And then if we want to we want to put a slot in here as our next thing, so we're going to draw that. Drawing this way, and actually that's the wrong face. I want to draw it on that face because I want to go through that one. Say OK. Simply draw my little guy here, and now we just dimension it. So dimensioning is fairly easy. We can dimension this radius, and we can call that 4 if you want. Now let's call it 3, keep it 6 mil, and then we're going to dimension this height from here to here, and we'll call that 10, and then we're going to dimension this from here to here, we'll call that 4 plus 4 plus 3 is 7, so let's go 8, and we should be good there. Let's pull my dimensions out so we can see them. It's fully constrained. Say close, say bucket, say through all, and there is our pocket. And now say OK, and of course one more time we're going to go there, we're going to do our 3 guys again. We're going to do them through our vertical sketch plane, say OK, and there we have it. And I think that slot could actually be a bit taller, so I'm going to go back in here, go back to where my slot sketch was, make that slot 11, close that. Might have even been able to go 12. Let's go 11.5, just for grins and giggles. There we go. I like that better. Okay, and the final part was to have a radius on this edge here. So to do that, we can select one edge, select radius, add some edges. We're going to select that one. We're going to select that one. Make those 4 mil, I think, is a good size. Say OK. And there we have it, finished. Fairly simple, fairly easy to follow, and fairly easy to print. So I did actually model the other parts of this tape holder. I actually modified this guy because the one that I made was originally done in Fusion, and to be honest with you, I wanted the tape edge to be a bit further away, so I modeled a new one just for fun, just to see how it would work in FreeCAD. Then of course using the exploded assembly, so I've assembled the parts together that I've modeled, and then this exploded assembly, you can see the pin that goes through this hole, goes through here, This piece moves out of the way. I press the other way, and it all assembles again. And you can see it assembled there with all the parts all put inside. Now we'll put a link to the Thingiverse, so you can download the original one, which was actually done in Fusion, but I've redone it in FreeCAD because I wanted to have a copy of it, but I also wanted to make those modifications, so why not? So once again, there it is, all done in FreeCAD and all working as an assembly, ready to have a tape. Masking tape is the blue masking tape that goes on there. So hope you enjoyed it. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If there's other things you want to see, please feel free to give me a comment. And if you want to see things I'm doing in the future, please subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.